there are two words to describe this fast food major's India expansion. They're slow and steady. The first golden arch graced Mumbai's Linking Road in 1996, and since, through its two joint ventures in India, the American quick service restaurant has established 250 outlets across the nation.
A lot of times people put up the single largest store when they just enter the country. It's a rare phenomena that you go and do at your largest store somewhere after 18 years of being here. So what does it tell you? It tells you that as the customers accepted us, and as the customers getting closer and closer and closer to us, and coming to us so much often, in given areas, we can create these flagships wherever in the mini market the demographic allows us large footfalls that happen.
Vikram Bakshi's Connaught Plaza restaurant sets up and operates McDonald's outlets in North and East India, and he believes that if there is one thing that the Indian JV has taught the headquarters, it is the ability of entrepreneurs here to deliver profits.
We have one of the lowest prices in terms of the offerings that we have for our customers. We've been able to make a profitable business. I'm sure these are things that are being looked at very, very carefully at different parts within the McDonald's system, different countries, to see how much more can you squeeze out of their existing businesses that they have there for donkey's years.
And McDonald's India local partners are quintessential Indian entrepreneurs who leverage McDonald's experience in building a brand, developing and managing a supply chain, and running restaurant operations. What they brought to the JV was local know-how on working the system, a pulse of the marketplace, and a big appetite for local innovation.
You know, there's nothing in common between an Indian menu and a US or UK menu other than shakes, fries, and Coke. Everything else is different. But why were they able to do this? Okay? And it's because McDonald's sees itself not around the products that they make, okay? But they see themselves as a brand, the Yellow Arches. They see themselves as knowing how to handle supply chains and restaurant operations. Around that, they allow their franchisees to innovate as much as they want.
The first phase was what we call glocalisation. In glocalisation, really, it was about marrying global knowledge with local knowledge of that we brought to the table in terms of the product, in terms of the categories, and so on. The first big thing that we achieved in that time was actually create the supply chain with backward linkages to the farm. The other big thing was, making a call that we will not do beef and pork in India, separate kitchens for veg, non-veg. The second phase is what we call the build phase. That's really when we build the foundation of our business. In that phase, the first thing we addressed was the customer value proposition, which included products like the aloo tikki, the pizza puff, the chicken McGrill. The idea being Indian taste at affordable prices.
Between 2003 to 2010 came the growth phase of really building the foundation of eating out. In numbers, it meant taking the eating out number from 3 times a month to at least 7 to 8 times. The happy price menu, the 25 rupee burger, was all about pulling in customers. And now the fast food chain is getting into acceleration mode with a target to double the number of restaurants it presently has by 2014. The Domino's Pizza outlet in Sector 18 Noida is among the top 10 stores in the world by the number of pizza sold in a year by the Michigan headquartered pizza chain. In fact, all of Domino's top 10 stores in the world by number of pizzas sold are actually in India. And managing the business here is Ajay Kaul, CEO of Jubilant Foodware, the master franchise for Domino's Pizza in the Indian subcontinent. Kaul took over 8 years ago, and for him, the challenge really was finding the right balance between localizing but not losing the aspirational quality of the international brand.
So how much local is the need to go in a market like India? Once Domino's entered India, did they realize that in the beginning we were obviously operating in a bit of a niche. We were operating at the upper end. They were costlier pizzas. They were more kind of gourmet pizzas and so on. but we very much realized that they had to be Indianized. Very soon the consumer also was changing. There was so much of westernization and internationalization happening. Indians traveling abroad who were getting exposed to the pepperoni pizza and all those things in the Western world. When they started coming back, they started having a strong influence that, listen, Pepi Paneer pizza is great, but I also want to have the original pepperoni the way it is served in the US. I think one of the key points of our success in India has been that we seem to have got this mix right.
But how does one localize donuts? How does one deal with local competition that may have captured that niche already? Well, for starters, Jubilant is taking things slow. They've opened just 10 Dunkin' Donut stores in nearly a year, with plans of growing to about 100 outlets in 5 years. And just like it did in the early years with Domino's, Jubilant is looking to draw in first-time consumers with more.
Dunkin' Donuts for the first time allowed us to use the name Dunkin' Donuts and More. And what is this more? More is basically all-day part food solutions. It's only the beginning, but you can do wonders under it. Donut, clearly a new category, unpenetrated. We are the global leaders, so that would do well. Coffee, we are clearly, if you look at the US, our brand recall and loyalty is better than any other brand in the US. And that's why America runs on Dunkin' is a campaign which we have been running for 5 years now, and nobody has been able to even challenge us. Such is the loyalty for the brand. So coffee, again, no problem. This and more, the food part is where we will have to build credibility. A lot of insights on food came from the Domino's side as to how, as I was saying a little while back, westernized carriers, but at the core the taste should be Indian. Call it Polo Mexicana sandwich or meatball marinara sandwich, but usko jab khol ke aap taste karoge, usme fusion bhi agar ho, ek core level pe wo Indian aapko taste dega. So that is the story. On the pure food side, how we drew inspiration from our learnings from Domino's.
And this is the sort of consumer and market insight that a local partner can bring to the table. That's not to say that some things won't go wrong, but perhaps the margin for error can be better controlled. And that's the reason why Seattle headquartered coffee chain with 19,972 stores globally, Starbucks, took 5 years to prepare its India entry strategy with at least one aborted joint venture with Kishore Biani's future group. Analysts say the $19 billion MNC learned some tough lessons in neighboring China, where it took a decade and a half to build a cafe culture from scratch and get things right. So in India, Starbucks decided to partner with the Tata Group to set up shop, even though the FDI policy did not mandate local alliances. And what apparently swung the deal in favor of the Tatas was a culture fit between the two corporations.
When Starbucks looks at a market, it looks at it for the next, so many years. It's a long-term investment, and partnering with somebody like the Tata Group. So that's why these business decisions are strategic in nature, and they do take the time to, enter a market, to understand the consumer, and then to bring out their brand in the right way. So I think it's time well spent instead of making a hasty decision, because it's not about quoting how many stores you will put in India. I think it's about how you will integrate into India, how you will be part of the community here.
That is one of the main reasons that Starbucks decided to source its coffee locally. In fact, India is one of the only markets in which Starbucks is doing this. In partnership with 50/50 JV partner Tata Coffee, Starbucks has even set up a roaster in India to achieve the perfect blend of Starbucks coffee using local beans. Another first for the global coffee chain, and perhaps a sign of how seriously it's taking the Indian market.
Unlike China, where we went there 13 years ago and we pioneered and taught people about the quality of coffee, in this market, it's already a large coffee market that we think we'll be able to come to with Tata's help and significantly distinguish ourselves from everyone else.
The Starbucks team sees India emerging as one of their top 5 largest markets over the long term. Staying the course will mean grit, tolerance, some failures, and the ability to leverage local knowledge, assets and capabilities. And above all, the tenacity to deal with corruption and cope with volatility. That's on next week's episode of Conquering the Chaos.